welcome to the second half of What's in the Box. And I have this giant pizza box that just arrived 10 minutes ago. And we're going to take a look and see what's inside. First, I have to tell you a little story. Most people are familiar with the Avedis Zildjian Cymbal Company, located in Boston, Massachusetts. This is their 400th anniversary of the Zildjian Company, first in Constantinople, and then later here in America. Their secret formula for B20 bronze is world-renowned. Their cymbals are used by many drummers and percussionists around the world, and they obviously know how to make B20 bronze. Now, currently, Zildjian sells gongs, but they are all Chinese-made gongs that they put their logo on. Once upon a time, Zildjian did make American-made gongs. They made what is called a Turkish-style gong, your standard flat gong with a bent-over edge. And the peculiar thing about that one is it had a center hole. And a lot of drummers got the idea that this hole was so they could put it on a cymbal stand and play it like a ride cymbal or something. But that's not the purpose. The purpose of the center hole was so they could put the raw gong on a lathe and screw it down and then lathe the tonal grooves into it, just like they do on a cymbal. They made them from about 20 even sizes, I think 20, 22, 24, 26, and 28-inch sizes over the years. And they made them for many years. Alongside that, for a very, very short time, Zildjian made what they called a gamelan gong. And this was a cupped gong. They made them in two sizes, 20 inches and 22 inches. And they made them for, I think it was only about 2 years. Something about like 1976 to 78, something like that. If anybody out there knows specifically the years they were made, let me know. But I do remember finding this advertisement with all the Zildjian gongs, the Turkish style, the gamelan, and then two different Chinese gongs, a Taiwan Chinese gong and a regular Chinese gong. Now, the gamelan gong is a rare beast. I've only seen one in my whole life. Came up on an auction on eBay, I think 12 years ago, 15 years ago, something like that. And I immediately bought it. It was the 22-inch version. I'd never seen one ever in person. It was kind of like a legendary gong that didn't even exist. There's so few of them out there. And I've got it. But I've always been looking for the elusive 20-inch one. So as I said, I was on vacation, sitting in Philadelphia, late at night, going on eBay, which I hadn't been on in probably 2 or 3 months because I've been so busy, and scrolling through things. And what do I see? This weird Zildjian gong for an insanely cheap price with a buy it now. I knew what it was, and I hit that button as fast as I could. And here it is today. I haven't seen it yet. I'm excited about it, so let's open it up. I was curious how they were going to send it. I didn't expect a pizza box. Okay. So hopefully it's packed really well. Packed pretty minimally. That's the problem you get, with when people ship cymbals and gongs and things. Is sometimes they're just thrown in a box. I bought a 32-inch Paiste Earth gong from the 1980s. One of the older ones. And it was shipped to me in a bicycle box in packing peanuts with a 32-inch Paiste square stand and a mallet. All in this, just thrown in this bicycle box with packing peanuts. So you never know how people will pack things up. Okay, what we've got here are some shopping bags. Your basic grocery bags here. There's 3 of them. Aldi there. There we go. Well, hey, now I have some new shopping bags. And for a token, a little bit of, I guess that's another disposable shopping bag. All right, here we have it. The 20-inch Zildjian Gamelan gong. This, as I said, is a rare beast. Get rid of the box here. Already I can tell this is very different than the other one. The other one surprised me. I'm just going to throw it over here because a gamelan gong you expect to be very sort of bell-like and have a very solid tone. The 22-inch one I was completely surprised by because it's very flat and very thin, and it sounds much like a wind gong. This one I can tell is already heavier. So let's look at it. We have a cup with no hole. So they did lathe it, probably just put a clamp in between and pressure clamped it. So it's lathed, extremely flat. And these are basically just Zildjian cymbals turned into a gong. Let's look at the back here. Now I know I don't normally clean my gongs, and I tell people I don't do that, but you can see this has got a lot of fingerprints. Doesn't really have any sort of patina. I'm going to clean this one up. Start with soap and water and move on from there. But let's give it a listen. I'm excited about this. And we have basically a leather cord in it. Again, sounds like a wind gong. That sounds like a nice wind gong. There's certainly nothing wrong with that. But I just find it ironic, again, that Zildjian, because it had a cup on it, they called it a gamelan gong. When it's actually a wind gong with a cup, it doesn't sound like a gamelan gong. Let me grab one of my tuned gongs here. Not a gamelan gong, but give you more the idea of what a gamelan gong. This is a bao gong, a Dream M bao gong. That's what a gamelan gong would normally sound like. Very solid hit right on the center boss. Very solid sound. This is about an 18-inch, so it's a little smaller than this, which is a 20. Now let's listen to this guy. Sort of a heavy wind gong sound. I'll compare this. I have a 22-inch Centent wind gong that will compare nicely with this. So there we go. I'm excited. This is being a collector. I tend to look for the odd things. It's like I don't want to have 9 planet gongs because they all sound the same, only they have a different tuning. I'm always on the lookout for kind of the weird and the crazy gongs, and especially like this. Now I have both of the Zildjian gamelan gongs made for just a short time. And Zildjian's secret alloy of B20 bronze. So it's pretty cool. Now you could do this as a cymbal, but it's really heavy. I'll have to weigh these two for you and tell you how heavy they are. But in the next part, I'll set them both up and we can compare them. And then I'll also compare them to some actual wind gongs and stuff. But here we go. Yeah. Zildjian gamelan gong. 20-inch to go with the 22-inch I already have. And these are the only two gamelan gongs I have not only now seen in person, but have ever seen anywhere. I've never seen one in a store. I've never seen one online other than these two auctions on eBay. Possibly back in the 76, 77, drummer Peter Erskine might have had one or two of these while he was playing with Weather Report. He had a gong rack behind him. I can't recall if he really had any of the gamelan gongs. I'll have to see if I can find some photos. But other than that, the only place I've ever seen them are in the advertisements I have in my collection. So that's exciting, yeah. So, a very rare gamelan gong from Zildjian that is approaching 50 years old now, probably about 47 years old. And then the UFIP Ictus 75 Ogororo, which are about 50 years old. Great. It's been my lucky week for collecting. As I said, I just haven't been on eBay. And I go on there, and within, I think it was 3 hours between these two, I found this one first and bought it right away with a buy it now. And then I kept looking at stuff, and a couple hours later, I'm still on there looking at things, and the Ogororo pops up, and it's like, buy it now. So here we go. And let's play them now. All right, here we are. Zildjian gamelan gongs. 20-inch, 22-inch, made around, I believe, 1976 to 78. Extremely rare gongs. As I said, the only two I've ever seen anywhere, listed anywhere, are these two, and I bought them both. I'm excited to have them. So what about the sound? You're all saying play them. This is my M-bow gong. This is an E. And you can see it has the boss. It also has a nice deep rim on it. This will get you a very solid sound hitting the boss. And ring for quite a while. This is typical of gamelan style gongs. They will have a nice boss and a deep rim on them. Okay? And then the sound is solid. It's very solid. First, let's just look at the shape of these guys here. I'll take this one down. It's got a fairly deep boss. You could probably see it there. But it doesn't have a rim. And if you look at the edge, it's extremely flat. I don't know if I can get a good view of it. I'll kind of move it around here. It's extremely flat. Basically what we have here is a Avedis Zildjian cymbal that's heavy, has no hole drilled in the middle, and is extremely flat. Most cymbals will have much more of a bow to them, to the edge. The edge will be more bowed. This is extremely flat. So right away we don't have that edge like on the bow gong or the gamelan gongs. It's a flat, it's basically a cymbal. Why they even call it gamelan gong other than it has a cup, a boss, a nipple, whatever you want to call it, is beyond me. So let's listen to the sound. What I've noticed, the 20-inch seems to be a bit heavier than the 22 as far as weight to size ratio. And it's a little more solid sounding than this one. So let's give it a play here. Interesting sound. To me, it has a very hollow sound. You get a low pitch in there, but then you get this, and that hums with this sort of a wash over it. Now, if we play off the boss, a cymbal crashing. Let's try a harder mallet here. This one is fairly focused. But again, to me it sounds hollow. That's my best description. 20-inch. Now let's try the 22-inch here. It doesn't have that hollow sound. This sounds much more like your typical 22-inch Chinese wind gong. And it actually makes a really great wind gong. Again, a true boss gong. So, on the gong timeline, I would call these more a curiosity than anything else. I give Zildjian credit for experimenting and doing something, but it's it's just an unusual sound. Very different than you would expect, especially them calling it a gamelan gong. They're not the only people who did something like this. UFIP in Italy, they made what they called a tampang, which was sort of a combination, I guess the word would be from a tam-tam gong and a pang cymbal. What they did, they made like a Chinese-style cymbal, except very thick and heavy and more as a gong. I've got 3 of those, so I might as well drag one out and we'll compare and contrast this sort of cymbal as gong idea. Okay, let's continue our sort of gong history lesson. Also, from the same time period, from UFIP in Italy, this is a 24-inch tampang. You can see it's very much like a giant China cymbal. It has a cup and it has the flanged edge that's upturned. This does have a hole in the center, and a lot of drummers got real excited, like, oh, I can use this as a gong or a cymbal, but it makes a really bad cymbal because this is like 9 pounds. It's too heavy. The idea for that center hole was they put it on a lathe and could lathe the back end to shave it down and sort of tune it. But these were just, from my understanding, sand cast in a mold, and you can tell by the rough surface here. Same time period, mid-70s. Hey, we're cymbal makers. What if we took a cymbal and tried to make a gong out of it? Same idea. So we have the Zildjian gamelan gongs and the Tampang from UFIP. This is a 24-inch. They also made a 21-inch and a 16-inch. I have two of the smaller ones, basically 15.5 inches and 16 inches. They're all very individual. But let's play this one and hear what it sounds like. We'll compare it. Right away, completely different sound in the middle. This baby is heavy, so it doesn't splash open like this one. But a really intriguing crash out of it. Now the smaller 16-inch ones are much more bell-like because the diameter ratio to the thickness makes them very thick for their size, and they play much more like a gamelan gong. Maybe I should drag those out too. All right, let's do it. Okay, here we are. One of the small UFIP Tampangs. Again, you can see the rough surface. That's the original surface, and then the back where they lathed it to shave it down and sort of tune it. Much more of a bell sound. Much more like a gamelan gong or a bow gong. Here's the other one. That was the 15.5. This is the 16. This weighs, I swear, almost twice as much as the other small one. It is really heavy. And you can tell by the sound. Very bell-like, very beautiful bell sound. And then some extraordinary harmonics when you play between the center and the edge. It's one of my favorite gongs. It's just gorgeous. Much more like a gamelan gong or a typical bossed gong. If anybody out there has a 21-inch or know of somebody who has a 21-inch Tampang they want to get rid of, let me know. I missed out on a couple of them on eBay. I just wasn't quick enough, but I'm always looking. All right, so there we go. A little bit of a history. Mid-1970s, Zildjian in the USA, UFIP in Italy. Hey, we're cymbal makers. Let's kind of make a hybrid gong cymbal thing, and we'll see how it turns out. Zildjian gamelan gongs, UFIP Tampangs. Thanks a lot.